this is about your digital legacy. Yeah, it's a talk based on observations I made after several people passed away in our community over the last couple of years. It happens to us. Many of us are getting older, and well, even younger people happen to pass away at some time. So I noticed some things, and I thought it would be useful to tell you about it. And that's, well, like Niels already said, a huge part of our lives is online. We do a lot of things digitally nowadays, and not just us. No, anyone does. But we are a bit different from most people. We do things a little different. Instead of using the common, typically used things, we tend to build our own stuff. We build our own mail servers, our own file sharing stuff. We host our own websites, register our domains, stuff like that. And yeah, that's cool, because that's a thing where we learn. We investigate, we try to try out new things, and maybe even bring it back to our company and say, oh, well, this is cool, we should make a product out of this. So it allows us to grow, it makes us better. And we share this with our friends and family because it's so easy. And well, yeah, you have your email server and you tell your wife, oh, here, I will register your domain and I will fix an email for you. And then you have a friend that has a problem with his DNS and you say, oh, no problem, I'll host your DNS. And well, it goes on and on and on. And I think a lot of us know this. And still, that's a good thing. It's we helping out to each other. And we also have a life that's a bit unknown to many people who are not familiar with our community. It's either we're active on IRC, on our Discord, we're part of an open source community project, or well, gaming, you name it. It's a whole world that many other people don't even know about, because it's, well, not a physical world, it's the digital world. But what happens then when we're not around anymore? And then you start looking at practical stuff, like, do your relatives know who to contact? Who needs to be notified of your passing? Do they know who to invite to a ceremony? Stuff like that. And we like to do crazy stuff. We like to work with passwords, Storm Crypto, MFA, VPNs, you name it. We test it out and we build it, and it works perfectly fine because it's for us. And that's another problem. It's for us, so we don't have to document it. And even if we document it, it's outdated, it's incomplete, and well, it's just absent. So relatives have no idea where to start. Well, you leave them with some system that is a black box that hosts something about email or a website or passwords, but they have no idea where to start, and they lack the knowledge and the skills to deal with that. So there may be some things we need to think about before that time comes. We need to document some of these important things and tell our relatives about this. So you need to write down what servers you have, or what DNS domains you register, or things like that. And passwords is a very important one as well. And you need to tell your relatives who to reach out to, because often they just lack the skills. They don't know how to deal with this. And one way to help them is to tell them, well, if something would happen to me, go to, well, my colleague, my friend, this is the person, and they can help you. They know who to notify, they know how to deal with problems if your mail doesn't work anymore, or transfer it, or whatever needs to be done. But they can help out. And then there's all the deals we have. Write down what the services you buy, where you buy them, why you buy them, what deals you made. Do I offer backup DNS services for someone? Is someone hosting, running a VM on my server? Stuff like that. If nothing is written down, no one will ever know why it's there once you're not there anymore. But there's another side. There may be some things you don't ever want others to see, even when you're not there anymore. Some things are so personal, you don't want to ever share them with others. And So it's not like you have to give them the keys to your fort and give them everything you have. So you need to think about it. What is important to share? What do they need to know? What should they never see? Because some of the things you may have, like love letters, digital, to your a former lover, may not be the nicest thing to have your wife discover, to name something. So you don't also want people to go poking through your stuff before it's time. So you need to have some way to deal with these things. How do you do a timely transition of, well, mostly the rights to your data when it's needed? Some services offer good ways for that. Some have an option to either hand over the master password of a password vault once you haven't logged in for a number of days and after several reminders. Well, some things don't, and you have to think about how to deal with that. And these things aren't always needed only when you're, well, where your absence isn't permanent. What if you end up in the hospital or are unable to work with your computer for a longer time? It may be needed that someone helps you to get your server up and running again. So these documenting these things is really needed to get, well, for your continuity. I chose not to speak about solutions here because every situation is different. Everyone has its own tools they use, their own products, their own way of implementing things. So this is not a talk about how to do this. It's all mostly about how to think about what you need to do. And you should just think about it and pick whatever suits your needs, what fits your situation. And as with all documentation, if you write down things, make sure to keep it up to date, because writing down things for once is, well, it's a job we mostly don't like to do, but we do. And then it ends up on a piece of paper somewhere in a corner in a book. And we forget to think about it, and years later it may be totally useless because everything changed. So write it down and keep it up to date. And please don't wait too long, because you never know what happens. Irony has it that one of my former colleagues passed away, and we heard about this today. So, and he was only 52. So this happens, and it may happen sooner than you would like. This is my talk, and thank you very much.
I don't think there will be questions, but I'm sure there will be comments.
Well, I feel seen. This also applies not just to your personal life, but also your work life. At work, there is a tamper-evident envelope in the fire safe, and it is labelled only to be opened in the event of Julia's death. That has all the master passwords that are needed to decrypt my personal laptop. This also applies to not just someone dying, but we have a lot of stuff with 2FA. A friend of mine had their phone nicked recently. They then went to buy a new phone, only for the transaction to be declined because the 2FA was their phone.
Yep. So
they now have a tamper-evident bag in my fire safe with all of their 2FA codes, the emergency ones. This is a reminder for everyone. I'm going to use that word again, tamper-evident bag, so that you have the problem of not being used before it's time, or at least proof that it's not been used before it's time. And get a friend that you trust. You can get a fire safe for under €100, stick it somewhere where it's not obvious, and have your friend's codes in yours, have your codes in your friend's as well as in yours, so that you've got basically what's needed in the event that something happens. Thank you.
Very good points. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hey, I think much a continuation of Julia's point there, but I was going to make the point of, well, really a ponderance of when you give access to somebody to this vault, or however you do it, I think it's important to also, while you can, regularly renew that access. Because I was thinking about, okay, what happens if you put all this together, you give this all to somebody, say an envelope in a fire safe, and then you suddenly, for whatever reason, don't want that person to be able to take charge of that thing?
Yeah.
How do you handle this later? I guess the logical point is treat it as a breach and roll and reset. But I'm also thinking, is there a better way to deal with this?
It's a very good point. I don't know if there's a better way. I would assume it's a breach. Sounds like the logical way, but it can be a lot of work depending on how many passwords you're sharing and stuff like that. But yeah.
Teun.
Hi.
Did you want to add on that, or?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. So one good solution for that is not to use one friend, but multiple friends. Mm-hmm. There's something called Shazam Shared Secrets, where you can give multiple keys away. You need at least a couple to work together to unlock something like that.
It's a very good suggestion. Thanks.
I've got a little bit of a tip. I've got a password manager with a nice password vault. And I've set it up that someone can log into it if I pass away. And I chose my brothers to have access to that and not my parents, because hopefully they pass away before me. Hopefully that will take a few years yet. But take that into account that you pick someone who is roughly the same age. So you don't have to update that prematurely. So both my brothers can log in and then look at all my passwords, and then they have access to email. And if you have email and 2FA and passwords, then they can access everything. So
sounds good. Yeah, basically this is business continuity planning for families, what we're talking about.
Yeah, about that, one online comment is that this is also important for non-tech savvy people.
Absolutely.
Talk about this with your family, with your friends.
Absolutely.
The other
but
way around. Yeah.
If your mail is in Google, your domains are in Google, stuff like that, Google knows how to deal with this, and Facebook knows how to deal with it. It makes it more difficult because we do things in our own way and not in a standardized way, and we choose our own things.
I have another comment to add. Don't mix your private stuff with your work stuff. You'll lose access to your work's accounts. So, and I know a lot of people are very used to using their work accounts for doing personal stuff as well. So keep them separate.
Very good.
Thank you all, and thank you, Teun, for sharing your thoughts here.